Okay, the demo for tonight, you've already heard about. Our own Mike McReynolds. He's going to do one of them things, Cryptex. Take it away, Mike.
Okay, well, needless to say, y'all saw this beforehand when I showed it there at the demo, or the show and tell, I should say. And of course, the combination on this one is Doxy. And they're kind of interesting. I came across them when I first started turning, and I thought someday I'm going to have to figure out how they do that. And I had my shoulder worked on last year, and I was sitting there watching YouTube videos, and I came across one again, and I thought, why not? My grandson was looking for something odd for his Christmas present, so I'll make him one of these. And it was fun. They're not as hard as they look. They really aren't. You've got, you start out, you make your tubes, which I made these in PVC for tonight. I started out with a 2-inch piece of PVC, cut it off, and I was trying to find something that would fit inside. Well, 1.5 inches is way too sloppy, I thought. So I went back to the hardware store and I found that 1.25 inch couplings work really well. And I tie them together with 1.25 inch pipe. Then I'll take 1.5 inch Forstner bit and clean out the inside so that I get at least 1.5 inches on the inside. You don't want to cut them to length at this time due to the fact that you got to be able to mount them on there. But you do want to be able to turn your rings. And your rings, once you get to this point, are going to be the inside will be the outside diameter of this, and you want at least 3/8 of an inch from the outside diameter of the largest tube to your outside diameter. You get much smaller than that and you're getting pretty thin by the time you cut your notch in here for your locking pins to go through. Which, as you can see, the locking pins stand up pretty tall. But you're only cutting about, maybe 3/16 out of there. And of course the rings always work too easy. Come back here. And that locks it. Okay, your rings, I've already gone ahead and glued the tube onto the small one. I glued the tube onto the large one, and I've got some of the rings made, but I wanted to show you how I make them. But you'll notice that on the back side here, you've got a groove, about 3/16 groove, and that'll come out about 3/16, and that's what actually the pin rides in. That will lock it. When you put it back on to your tube, you've got a fixed ring at each end, which holds your rings on. Then however many rings you need for your code, that's how many rings that'll be movable. Okay? Everybody got that? Anybody not understand? If you got any questions, don't hesitate to holler. This actually takes about 2 days by the time you get your glue to dry and all that. But so you've got a lot of stuff that goes on here. But the rings, I'll go ahead and make one here. What I do is I'll rough cut the end piece that I want when I get ready to glue my tube in, and then I'll notch it and glue it in. With this I use 2-part epoxy for the PVC, but I just use Tight Bond for wood if I'm doing a wood piece. Then when you glue your fixed rings on especially to the inside, that helps support it. I'm going to get ready to start this thing. I'll grab my glasses. What I try to do is I just kind of knock it out of the center just with whatever I've got, whatever sharp bit I've got. Preferably the bigger the better, depending upon how big you're going. This one here is 1.5 inches, and I'll be going to about 2 3/8 with it. You can cut this all the way back in if you want to, but I try not to take it too far back in due to the fact that I have to put an extension on to get it far enough back in there. And the bit usually needs to cool off before I get that far anyway. So I get it back in there far enough to cut 1, maybe 2, possibly 3. Once I get the center cut out, then I just take a badan or something like that, and I'll start making the ring, sizing it out to for my ring. Bit of honing wouldn't hurt this one. I had some wood that was pretty soft that I'd gotten somewhere at a raffle or something, and I had 2 rings made, and it was so soft. I don't know what kind of wood it was, but it was so soft both rings broke before I could get it off the leg. Anybody else ever made one of these before? No one? Really? Okay. Like I said, they're a lot of fun. They keep you intrigued the whole time. That'll be close, but I think I can get one out of that one. And it's hot. First thing I'll do is I'll get a size of what I want. So it's going to fit this tube. I'll get just a rough size just to get me close so I don't have to keep checking it. Okay. probably get a Forstner bit to do this kind of work. But I found that costs money. And I can get the fit a lot closer tolerances this way, I think. Yeah, it's a little big, but not too bad. From here, I want to take, what I like to do is set my gauge, or not my gauge, but come in on my rings so that it actually floats to the inside, kind of making a little bit of a wedge out of it. That way the piece that hits will be the outside and you're not binding all the time. So from here, I'll take and slope that back a little. Now I want to come in here and make my locking ring. I keep a piece of 1/8" dowel, which is what I use for my locking ring, locking pins I should say, and I'll use it to gauge with so that I know I'm deep enough. And I only want it about 3/16 of an inch deep. Alright, I'm just proud of the pin. I don't know if you can see it up there or not, but it's just a little bit wider than my pin, and that's what I want. Now from here, I will take and mark a 1/2 inch, because that's how wide I want them. That's just the way I'm set up. Seems to work out the best for me at least. Looks good. Now from here I'll take and part it off. Making sure that I angle back towards the front on this side. Just a little, it doesn't take a lot. Now when I get in there just a little bit, what I do is I'll take and chamfer that corner so it's not quite so sharp. It doesn't take a lot, just a little. Keeps you from coming up with little gashes in your hand every now and then. And voila, we have our first ring. All I have to do is take and trim a notch in here for the locking pin to slide through, which the way I do, and I use my little drill press vise. Now, all I want to do is I want to take it down to the level of the outside of the ring. So I'll set it in here, like so. Just snug it, it doesn't have to be real tight. And I don't know where I got this. My mom gave me this for Christmas. And I'll tell you what, it has come in so handy in so many places that I can't seem to get into. But this is perfect for it. And what you want to do is just cut it down. About 3/16 of an inch wide. Usually 3 cuts will do it. To get you down, you just pop the pieces out. And now we have a notched piece. Okay, want to pass that around? Okay, once you get all of your rings done up, then you're ready to start putting the thing together. Okay, on your largest pipe, what you want to do, once you get it glued into your end piece, is you'll bring it up, put all your rings rings on it that you're going to have. In this case, I've got 7 rings, so I can have a 5-letter code. And what I want to do is I want to cut this off pretty much flush back out here. And then I'll take the other side and I slide it in, so that when I bring it up, it sets flush also. So I'll have to cut this off from this side until everything fits properly. Once I get to that point, I'll take, and you can see there's a red line down through here. That's the center line of where my pins will go. On this one, I made 2 lines, because what I'll do is I'll actually cut a notch in this so that the pins can slide down through that notch. There's all kinds of ways you can do it. I probably shouldn't use this on PVC, but we're going to try it. Just a Dremel tool with a little saw blade on it. Just about 3/16 to 1/4 of an inch wide. Does a pretty good job. Okay, theoretically I will cut this eventually all the way down to within a 1/2 inch of the end piece, just so that I get past the first ring, just so I get beyond it. But I want to leave some of it there for strength. If I cut it all the way back, then you're reducing the strength, because this gets kind of wobbly, especially in wood. So at this point, what I would do, this would be cut all the way down. So I would take my first ring and put it on, and at that point, and by the way, I've got handouts over here. There's about, probably not enough for everybody, but I've also sent the document over to the club web email address, and those will be sent out this week, so everybody's got a copy of the steps. But what I'll do is I'll take...
Does it matter which way the recess is, as long as they're all the same way?
The recess always has to go on the big tube towards the inside.
Okay.
If you have it on the outside, then you're going to have a locking problem. But you always want your groove to the inside. We want those pins covered up.
Okay.
Now, if I was doing this at home and I had this totally cut out, I'd put the first one on and I'd take and drill my hole, which I will back here. But let me go ahead and get some of these on, and I'll show you how I do that. And it's same principle every time. You drill a hole, you put another ring on. You drill a hole, you put another ring on. There we go. Now that I push this in, hold it in, and what I'll do is I'll take an 1/8 inch drill bit, and I have my line right there. I want to center it up in my groove, and I'll take and drill straight down and right up against the existing rings. Ask me how I was open that one. but you want it right up against that ring. And I'll pull it off. Put another ring on. And I'll do the same thing. I keep doing that till I get all 5 of these rings drilled. Alright, I've got 2 of these drilled now. Now what I'll do is I will take and I'll cut my dowel rod about 3/4 of an inch usually. And what makes it easier is if I take this off, and put this one on. Holds it a little steadier for me. Okay, just a little. Thought that thing was wobbling. Okay, anyway, I'll set them in there like so, and I'll get them all in. And then once I get that done, I can take this piece and I'll slide that on, and that tells me how deep I have to be able to what I'll do is I take my disc sander and I just sand them down so that I get them all flat and level across. But I wasn't able to glue that.
You glue
Of
those
course.
in that way and then sand them down?
I'm sorry?
You glue the pin in there, then sand them down?
Yeah, I glue the pin sand and let the glue dry, and then I'll come back the next day to check to set my depth. Since I don't have the glue or anything here to do this, I'll try to go ahead and set this just to give you an idea of what we're doing.
Get a bigger hammer.
Just a touch more. That's what's nice about using a sander. Voila. And it turns and locks it in.
Okay.
And I'll do the same thing with this last one. I can get it to hold in there. Because what I will do at this point, once I get that finished up, then I will take, well, in fact I could do it beforehand, but no, I won't either. I've still got to show you how I mark them yet. I take and get all of these set in. From that point, we still have to mark it for our code system. So what I'll do at that point is I will take it.
Mike, would you set that drill down, blocking the camera? Thank you.
Certainly. But I'll get these set up. And once I get it set up and everything's set together, I usually take a piece of cardboard at this point. That is cut to go inside, and it'll slide tightly into the grooves. And what that does is it holds those grooves in place.
Right.
That way, when I get ready to mark it, now this one here, I can either do 12 or 26, or not 26, 36. And what I do is 26, of course, for the alphabet. But I've got it set up on my indexing system for that. We could do 24, and that's what I'm going to do here tonight. And what we would do is just leave off two letters you're not going to use in your system. But what I'll do is I'll take and mark it. Let's see. I want it over. Okay, there's center. There's center. So I will mark one here. And I want to pick them all up at this point, because I'm going to put one on each side of my groove. So what this does is sets it up so that I know where everything's going. Let's see, don't want that one there. Okay, I'm going to put one in between those two. So the main ones that I want to catch are the 5 in the center. And I'll take and back this up about half a point. Which would be about right there. Now I've got my starting point. This one you don't want to mark. Now what I'll do now is go through and I'll mark all 12 of them, and then I'll come back and mark the ones in between. Like I say, all you want to mark is these center 5 ones, the ones that your codes are going on. Just take and mark that. 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 You want to try to have your rest about center, if at all possible, as close as possible anyway. Makes it a whole lot easier. Now I'm not going to mark them all. I've still got a lot to go through yet. Okay, you can see where I've got all my marks here, and you can see how I've got my marks all the way across at the point of where the groove is. So what I would do after I get all of them marked is I'd pull this off, pull it off, and what I do is I use a wood burner, but however you mark it, you can use permanent ink, whatever, but I'll take and burn all my lines, even on these. Then after I figure out what my, if I know what my code is going to be, then I can start making my letters. And the way I do that, I'll burn it in hand. But when I start making my letters, I want something solid. So I'll set my system back up, and I'll take and set it in here, and always have your groove going towards whatever direction your piece is here. Now me, if you'll notice on, in fact I'll just go ahead and pass this around. If you'll notice on it, I take and I'll run my ABCs one direction, and on the next one I'll run the opposite direction. It kind of confuses them. Keeps that spontaneity in there. But I'll just set it up, and like I say, it doesn't have to be real tight. But I'll take and mark an arrow on this, like this one is on this end, so the arrow will be pointing towards the groove. And then on the next one, if I was doing doxy or whatever, why the D-O-X-I-E, the E would go here, and like I say, the groove is always pointing towards the direction that it goes onto the tube. Get them backwards, it makes it a little difficult. Although when you do, you can always cut a groove in the backside. Makes it a little thinner here, but you're tight enough usually that you don't have to worry about it. It works out well. And nobody will ever see it because you're going to glue this outside ring on when you're all done. So from this point, I'll take and glue my two end rings on, so that everything is set up and ready to go. Make sure that my locking pins are ground down, sanded down, so that everything slides together good and easy. And at this point, you're just about done. You think. Now we have to finish up the end pieces. Now the way I do that is I'll just take and part it off here. Parting tool is there. Once I get to this point, I'll go ahead and sand it right quick. can make these end pieces look like whatever you want to. I mean, it doesn't have to be like this. It's just what I did. I guess you could put finials out here on the ends and do all kinds of different things. But they do get rough handled, so remember not to get it too thin.
Even if you put a mouse in it.
Add a little bit more surprise to it, right?
I like my long-handled hacksaw when I do this. I'll take my little plate sander. Just try to clean it up a little bit. Take a little more sanding, but that's how I part it off. Do that to the other side and you've already got your pins in it, it's ready to go. Now what I use is in fact, I've got some here. I like to use this Doctor's Woodshop Walnut Oil Paste, even some Johnson's paste wax, just any kind of a wax or an oil. You don't want anything that hardens up because it'll stick all your rings together. But other than that, basically that's all there is to it.
That's it.
Any questions?
That's good.
How many hours you figure you got in one of them?
In one of them, I probably got maybe 6-7 hours total. Most of the 2 days I was telling you about is for letting your glue set, that type of thing.
That is, once you got all your materials.
Yeah, once you got all your materials and stuff, yeah, about 7 hours. I think I'd make most of my materials in about half a day. Get everything all ready to put together, and then I'll put in my pins, let those dry, and then I'll sand those down until they fit properly, and then I'll glue my rings in the very last thing, just before I part it off. And like I say, I've got some handouts over there that you're welcome to. Like I said, there's only about 10, and we will send out an email with the same list.
How do you make your letters so nice and uniform? Do you have a die or do you still like?
I started out using a template, and I found that I shake so much that the template didn't make much difference. So I put it in that vise there, and I'm able to support my hand, and I can just hand draw it.
Thanks, John.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, cool.
Like I say, once you get the hardest part is getting the tubes set up. Once you get those done, it's pretty much smooth sailing from there.
There is a groove in here for that to sit in.
I'm sorry?
Did you make a little groove in there?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, it gives it a little added strength, and then when I glue the ring up to it, I'll glue it to the end piece and to the tube also, to give it a little more strength.
But you think the PVC works out best for that sliding tube rather than wood?
I like the wood myself.
Okay,
The PVC, you have to live with what they give you.
right.
And for a 3-inch piece, you'll notice that there's some flat spots on those rings I sent around. And that was because I didn't want to get it any smaller.
Right.
I was afraid I'd weaken the ring too much.
Okay.
The piece that he's passing around now,
Uh-huh.
and that could be made from one piece of wood.
It could,
Because then you'd have your outside and your number 2 tube.
you could actually make both pieces from
And this
2
the
pieces
other
of wood
side.
or a long piece of wood.
From one piece of wood.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You could actually do that.
Then he
I don't
eliminates-
like to do that because I have troubles coming up with enough wood anyway of one kind. So I do usually do the tubes, like I say, either out of PVC or poplar, something like that. In fact, that Cryptex I passed around, the center in it is poplar.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay.